Hello all, welcome to yet another live session of Narayana IAS Academy. As all of you know, this is Sureka Bhaskar presenting to you the daily news analysis. So as usual, we've actually picked up a number of topics from the Hindu and the Indian Express, which becomes extremely important and relevant for the UPSC CSE examination. Now, as a part of our routine, let us actually start this day or this session with a beautiful quote, which is actually written over here. So what does this quote say? It actually says that life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. So what does this quote essentially means? That it says that our lives, this is actually applicable to all of us, to the aspirants out there, to the educators like us. It basically says life is going to gain its fulfillment only if we are, in a position to take it up boldly with both courage as well as curiosity. So what do you mean by courage and curiosity? This is nothing but you need to embrace all the challenges that comes your way. Second one, you need to start living with a purpose. That is, each of us must have bigger dreams and aspirations. Like one common dream both of us actually have is to get through the system or become a bureaucrat. The next one is that you need to celebrate the uncertainties that come your way. Even though UPSC actually happens to be an uncertain, in nature kind of an examination, we need to approach that with positive mindset. So that is when our lives will actually gain a fulfillment. So this is what it is. Life is either a daring adventure or it is nothing at all. So now let us actually move to our daily dose of knowledge, where we'll be discussing the 4 important articles that we've actually picked up for discussion. The first article is reaching out with AI. You know, right? That is, of late, this particular topic of artificial intelligence is too much in the news. That is why now we are going to discuss about how this particular artificial intelligence is going to transform governance in India. What is the capability that artificial intelligence have with its involvement or penetration in sectors like healthcare, then education, agriculture, space, defense, etc. Now moving forward, so this is that article we are done away with. The second is going to be CapEx recovery likely to, that is in the second half of the financial year 2025, but it is actually 40 to 52% push needed to meet the targets. So even though it actually looks like you don't understand, or you don't understand the basics with respect to the title that is given here, nothing, we are just going to discuss about this particular concept of capital expenditure. So when it comes to the expenditure of the government, they are of two types: revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. And questions have been asked on these lines in the PYQs if you've seen one of your prelims examination. So we are just going to understand that particular concept, and also we'll look at what the budget actually had to say about it. Now moving forward, the third article we'll be discussing will be India conducts historic flight test of hypersonic missile. So here, often you would be seeing in the news, right, a hypersonic missile, then you can see an intercontinental ballistic missile, or there are cruise missiles, etc., right? So here we are going to understand about India recently having, flight tested this particular hypersonic missile. So what does that actually mean for India, whether India has actually entered into the elite group of nations which possess these hypersonic missile. And also, the last article that we'll be discussing today is growing epidemic. Okay, so this particular article has been picked up from page number 8 of the Hindu, which actually talks about the recent, Lancet report, or the study that has been conducted on this growing prevalence of diabetes across the world, and it especially targets India as well as the regions in South Asia. As all of you know, India is actually called as the diabetes capital of the world. So here it is important for us to understand what is this particular concept of diabetes, what are the types of diabetes, as well as the targets and the key findings of this particular report. Now, let us actually quickly move into the discussion. So the first article that we'll be discussing about is reaching out with artificial intelligence. Okay. So as I told you, as the title suggests, here we'll be discussing about what is the role of AI in transforming governance in India, and how it is actually penetrated into different segments, starting from agriculture, starting from education, how is it actually, enhancing space, environment, as well as defense and technology, etc. So this is what we'll see. So here we'll be discussing about role of AI in governance, where you'll come across different terms that I'll actually clear. First, we'll understand about what is AI. Then we'll discuss about what is generative AI. Then we'll discuss about a concept called digital public infrastructure. And we'll also look at different schemes that have been brought by, the Indian government, that is the Digital India scheme, as well as the government AI scheme, etc. So here digital public infrastructure is going to be discussed, and this particular topic becomes very, very important for your GS paper 3 as well as GS paper 2, that is governance, and GS paper 3 science and technology applications in everyday life. Okay. Now moving forward, there has been a previous year question already asked in the year 2020 with respect to that of artificial intelligence, and effectively it finds application in which of the following. Okay. So here you have to know artificial intelligence, that time it was just emerging, okay, 4 years back. Now that we have a lot of artificial intelligence platform that actually, run so much of the systems, okay, starting from your biometrics as well as your UPI and everything. So we will see what it discusses about. So this is very, very important. Now let us actually get into this particular article. So this article, it actually discusses about how this particular artificial intelligence has the potential to transform the governance in India, especially via programs like the Digital Public Infrastructure, that is the DPI, that addresses inefficiency in governance and empower citizens. See, rather than focusing on this, we shall always focus on what is this particular concept, okay, and then move on to understand what this article is discussing. So here they are talking about what is artificial intelligence. First, let us understand the basics. So they are saying AI, it is going to improve the governance, it's going to bring about different changes through programs like DPI. First, what is AI? AI is nothing but it is a particular field of computer science. Okay, so it involves, some things of computer science that is actually essential for establishing a system, and this system is going to perform various functions that require human intelligence. Do you understand? Like for example, if you take any kind of a decision making process, any kind of problem solving, reasoning, all these things are actually being, capable, which that is why we have the sixth sense, right, that is common sense, and we actually have a big IQ as well as EQ as well. That is why human beings are the creatures who can actually solve all these problems like decision making issues, then reasoning, etc. But now what happens, artificial intelligence also comes up with systems that functions which typically earlier required human intelligence. Okay, like this actually includes, as I told you, reasoning, the decision making, and then problem solving techniques, etc. So this is what is artificial intelligence. Now here, since we are referring with artificial intelligence, I'll tell you what is generative AI. Generative AI is nothing but this is also a type of this artificial intelligence which is used to generate a new set of data depending on the commands and algorithms that we give. That is, this AI works on a set of data, okay, and the commands are actually given in the form of algorithms, and they perform different what do you say, functions depending upon the prompt or the instructions that we are giving. So generative AI totally generates new, what to say, it can be new text, it can be an image, it can be a video, etc. So this is what is generative AI. So next one is what is digital public infrastructure. This is nothing but it is a platform that gives you access to the government as well as the private services. Okay, this can be of different types. So this is basically a platform that gives you access to the government as well as the private services. For example, it can be a digital ID. For example, you have your Aadhaar, right? It can be a civil registration, okay, and also it can be your UPI payments, or you can say your digital transactions that you actually do. So this is what is digital payment infrastructure. Okay, so this is what is called as digital public infrastructure. So now we've understood the concept, and now that is what they are saying, using all this which earlier required human intelligence, now we can also focus on what is AI and rely on AI to transform governance. Now, having understood this, let's quickly go through what this article is saying. So we are basically talking about how can artificial intelligence enhance governance in India. Okay, so as I told you, let us just focus on what is just important rather than focusing on the board. First one, I told you, it has a lot of what do you say, applications, and one such is healthcare. How is it going to help you? It helps in early disease detection, and also what kind of treatment has to be given to this particular patient, that is personalized treatment. It's going to make the operations, or say operational efficiencies of the hospitals are going to be increased, and also it can improve the patient outcomes. So here, side by side, if it is in healthcare, one example I've actually given. This is what is important for your mains answer writing, where you need to substantiate your answers with the current examples. That is when you will actually make a difference. So here, the example, the Defense Research and Development Organization, Atman AI, it was actually invented during for making the treatments during COVID easier. And then also we have other AI based models for diagnosing tuberculosis and breast cancer. So this particularly serves the underserved areas. The next one comes to agriculture. So here what happens, AI driven technologies are there, right? So they can actually predict the weather patterns. They can actually, what to say, tell you what is the crop yield, and also provides the farmers with various insights. So this will actually improve their agricultural productivity. For example, there is AI driven system called as Cotton Ace. This offers pest management advice. Okay, now moving forward, the next one is in the field of education. Education is what it actually gives you good learning experiences. This will actually help the educator to prepare depending upon the performance of the students. It actually helps the educators to target the students who are not performing well, who are performing well, and give personalized programs for them. Okay, for example, if you see the Shiksha Setu app, especially in the state of Assam, this gives an AI based attendance system, and this actually enables to have track of the student as well as the teacher's attendance, so that it prevents the dropout also. Next one is urban governance. Okay, how does AI actually improve urban governance? Is that first is it helps to maintain the improve the public infrastructure, and also urban planning can actually be increased. For example, we have AI can regulate the traffic management. So in terms of busy routes as well as highly congested areas, it helps us to choose an alternative route. Okay, so this is what it is, predict the traffic congestion, and this has been effectively used in Delhi as well as Bengaluru. Now moving forward, if you see in cases of urban management also, Google Maps are being used. Okay, so that is they collect the data from the delivery persons, and then they predict what is the type of congestion that is actually happening. Next one is space. Okay, so a lot of satellite data are actually been used for monitoring the environment, and also looking at the navigation of different spacecraft, so that this actually helps us to control and support the exploration missions. Example is the Bhuvan platform. This has been developed by ISRO. This uses satellite imagery. Okay, so this provides detailed maps that actually help in assessing crop health, forecasting the yields, and also manage the resources efficiently. So now we've actually looked at health, we've looked at agriculture, we've actually looked at education and space. Now let us see how has been India's landscape. So first of all, here it actually says that the pace of digitization, okay, the level of digitization in India has actually been increased a lot. Okay, so now you have around 900 million people who have access to internets, or you can say they are connected to digital devices, and this is actually anticipated to increase from 900 million to around 1.2 billion in 2026. And also if you see, India is actually set to be one of the countries which actually has the highest number of startups, okay, because this has been enhanced by the programs like government AI as well as digital public infrastructure. Also, we actually see, right, the projects like Aadhaar as well as digital payments, UPI and DigiLocker, all these are the we have already discussed. What is the future of AI in India? So here, I think, yeah, okay, fine. So let me clarify here. I think the, what to say, the PPT that we actually hear, it looks very, very verbose. We have uploaded the wrong PPT, I believe. So the, what to say, the one in the concise version will actually be shared with you, okay? So don't focus on the slide. So I will actually talk about what is the future. Yes. So how has been India's AI landscape? See, we have Digital India program, all this has been discussed. And next, what is the future of AI in India? See, there are a number of studies which have actually been conducted. So there has been a recent generative AI program, generative AI report. I told you what is generative AI, right? So this report has actually said that AI will contribute to around $1.5 trillion to India's GDP by 2030. And I told you what is generative AI as well. And also there is some Stanford AI Index 2023. This also ranks the nation as the foremost country in AI skill penetration. And also we actually have a robust startup ecosystem, and we are actually ranking 5th in the number of newly funded AI companies by both distribution, the geographical area, and we have actually invested around $475 million in generative AI startups in the past 2 years. So this is what it is. Now moving forward, what are all the legal frameworks? See, don't focus on all these things. I will actually tell you what to focus on here, because it's a wrong PPT that has been uploaded here. Yeah. So first one, just focus on this highlighted National E-Governance Plan and Education Policy. Okay. The rule here, what this National E-Governance Plan is actually focusing on is nothing but integrate this AI with that of education. So that is what it is. So that it is actually going to, give a supportive environment for research and innovation. What is the second one? Try. This Telecom Regulatory Authority of India in the year 2023 came out with a framework, okay, for enhancing AI. How it can be enhanced? By creating an, this is number one, independent statutory body. Next one, a multi-stakeholder advisory body in order to aid AI's development and ensure that it is used in a responsible way. So these are two legal frameworks. Now moving forward, next one is the focus only on the heading India AI Program and National Cyber Security Reference Framework. So this India AI program focuses on promoting a multi-stakeholder approach for AI ecosystem. And next is National Cyber Security Program. This actually provides guidance for very, very critical sectors in order to tackle with the cyber security risks. The next one is Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence. So as the name suggests, it is a global partnership where India has actually participated, and it focuses on a number of things like human rights, then diversity, economic growth, etc. So this actually shows that India's participation in this global partnership shows that how India is actually focused on improving its AI related ecosystem. Now moving forward, there are different initiatives, okay. So these are, you need to know to cite it as an example. First one is National Program on Artificial Intelligence. This is to nurture AI's ecosystem through data quality. Next one is the Umang app. This is for governance purpose, and this actually offers around 2000 government services, okay. So it is an AI driven voice-based chatbots. And next one is DigiYatra. This you actually would have seen biometric boarding that is actually used in your airports, etc. Where you can actually, it ensures your seamless entry into the airport. Next one is Digital India Bhashini. This focuses on speech-to-speech translation across Indian languages in order to foster inclusivity. Now let us actually move to the next one. Here we already saw about Shiksha Setu. This is actually for enhancing the attendance in Assam. Next one is Atman AI, which has actually been developed by DRDO during this COVID period. Okay, so this is what it is. Now, let us see what are the various challenges that have been associated in AI governance in India. The first challenge is there is a lot of skill gap, right? So, AI technologies to use how to, in order to know how to use it, you need to be very, very skillful. So, that is one which is actually missing over here. Next is there are a lot of privacy and security concerns with respect to that of AI, okay? With a lot of information, what happens? Our personal information can also be at stake. So this is one. Next one, there are lot of government challenges. Sorry, there are lot of data challenges because there is, lack of standardized and accessible data. Next one, trust and transparency. This is actually gaining public trust in AI systems is also, people have still not actually gotten that trust in the AI. Next one, insufficient legal frameworks. Okay, so this actually has to include a lot of ethical regulations, etc. And finally, there are limitations on infrastructure. Okay, so infrastructure has still not yet been developed, in a holistic manner. The next one, what is the way forward? Of course, way forward, even you can actually simply write looking at the challenges, right? So first we actually discussed that infrastructure is not good. So first you need to strengthen your infrastructure. Next one, legal framework, they are not holistic in nature. So increase or enhance your legal frameworks. Next is skill development is not there. So focus on creating skills and investing in education and training of the youths, as well as it has to have interdepartmental synergy. That is, all the stakeholders actually have to integrate and facilitate a seamless integration of AI, so that there is actually efficient service delivery. So this is what it is. Now moving forward, let us immediately solve a mains practice question which actually says, discuss the role of artificial intelligence in enhancing the governance with relevant examples and analyze the challenges associated with its deployment in a diverse country like India. So here the approach answer, in the introduction we will actually discuss about how artificial intelligence has emerged as a transformative tool in governance in India. This actually enabling efficiency, transparency and better service delivery, and how it is actually important in a diverse country like India in order to plug the gaps of inefficiencies in governments and in governance, and also to empower the citizens. Okay, moving forward, the body can talk about how AI is used in different sectors like healthcare, agriculture, education, in urban governance, in space management like Google Maps, etc. And finally, you have to discuss about all the challenges, like what are the challenges we face with respect to skill development, and then the data privacy, as well as what are all the ethical concerns and the regulator gaps. Okay. Now moving forward, in the conclusion, you have to write a balanced approach. That is, you have to say AI definitely offers transformative potential in governance, but its deployment must address challenges through robust policies. That is, we need to have good policies, okay? And also there has to be an inclusive digital infrastructure so that there is equitable benefits across India's diversity. So this is what is this particular question talking about. The next one, CapEx recovery likely in the second half of financial year or fiscal year 25, but 52 push needed to meet the targets. So here we'll be discussing about what is this concept of capital expenditure, and then we'll also discuss about how this is different from that of revenue expenditure. So this is important for your prelims as well as the mains exam under GS paper 3, government budgeting as well as economic growth. Now moving forward, in the previous year UPSC 2022, there has been a prelims question with respect to the expenditure which is made by an organization of the company. So which one is actually correct? Okay, so you need to know certain terms like debt financing, what is this balance of payment, and then as well as current account deficit. What do you mean by capital expenditure? What is revenue expenditure? All these terms become important for your economy. So now in H1 FY25. So what is the meaning of this one? See, a financial year actually has first half and the second half, right? The first half, what is a financial year? It actually starts from April and ends by March of the next year. Okay, so this is actually divided into H1 as well as H2. Okay, the first one actually starts from April to September. This is H1, and H2 is nothing but it starts from October to March. Do you understand? So this has 6 months, which is divided into Q1 and Q2. That is quarter 1, which has 3 months. That is April, June, July. And quarter 2 has July, August and September. And this actually has again 2 quarters. So this is what it is actually talking about. So in the first half, the central capital expenditure reached only 37% of the budget target. So whenever the government comes up with the budget, what happens? They will say that our capital expenditure for this particular financial year is going to be so and so. For example, 100 crores. But the capital expenditure so far has actually reached only 37% is what the article is saying, and this is according to the Care Edge rating reports. So what do you mean by capital expenditure is what is very, very important. So the expenditure of the government. So let's actually understand the concept quickly and then read what is given in this article. So the expenditure of the government is classified into two. Okay, one is the revenue expenditure and the other one is the capital expenditure. So what do you mean by revenue expenditure? Whenever the government is actually, for example, say giving some subsidies to the farmers. Okay, when they are giving some funds for health, when they are giving funds for education, and then the salaries, the pensions, all these things that the government spends on is called as the revenue expenditure, and this is not going to gain them any kind of interest, or it is not going to reduce their debts or their liabilities. So this is what is called as revenue expenditure. The next kind of expenditure is the capital expenditure. What is this? When the government actually spends on creating an asset or creating a capital. So asset creation by either investing in a building or an infrastructure. Okay, and the second one is it is going to reduce its liability. What do you mean by reducing liability? It's nothing but when the government has so many loans, if it actually repays, what happens is it is going to reduce the amount of debt that it actually owes to another country or a financial bank or financial institution, etc. So these are the two kinds of expenditure. So this is what we are talking about today. Okay, CapEx. So now having understood this, let's quickly traverse through it. Okay. So what is capital expenditure? This is nothing but it is those expenditure of the government that creates an asset for the government or reduces the liability. Right, I told you. So create an asset as in terms of building or infrastructure, reduce liability as in repayment of the loans. It also includes the expenditure incurred on acquiring the financial assets like land and investment by the government, and after a period of time it's going to give profits and dividends. So this actually talks about revenue expenditure, which has payment of interest, payment of salaries, grants and subsidies, focusing on education, then defense services, and this includes all the capital or the asset creation like construction of roads. Then you purchase a land or a machinery, then investment in shares and repayment of loans in order to reduce your liability, etc. So this is what is capital expenditure. Moving forward, there's something called as effective capital expenditure. That is nothing but it is the amount spent by the government that actually creates a long-term. This is nothing but amount spent that creates long-term assets and infrastructure, but it also includes the grants that the center gives to the states for creating the capital assets. So this is called as effective CapEx. Okay, so here it is very important to remember, because now we are going to actually see how it is, what are the trends that has been given by the budget and the survey. So we actually saw what is capital expenditure, because this is going to improve the production facilities and also give operational efficiency. Okay, so this is what it is, and also it is going to increase the amount of labor participation. How? Because when you're creating more infrastructure and avenues, you have more employment that is generated in your economy. So that is what it is. And how it is different from revenue expenditure, we already saw. Now moving on, what has been the trends of capex in the Indian economy? So if you actually see, this is the effective capex. I told you, right? This actually includes the amount invested in the assets plus the state funds. So this is actually the graph talking about effective capex that has actually been stable, then it has increased, then it has increased further. This is the percentage of GDP that is actually expressed over here. So what does the survey, economic survey actually say? See, this is the latest trends that I took it from the news today, and this is the trends that the survey has been given. Okay, so don't focus on these crores and everything. I just want you to focus on the percentage aspect. So the capital expenditure, capex, has actually increased by 28% when compared to this financial year 2020. Okay, that is what, with how much ever capex was there, that is capital expenditure was in the financial year 20, it has actually increased 2.8 times. Do you understand? So this is what it is actually saying. That is, the capital expenditure stood at an increase of 28.2 on a year-on-year basis and was 2.8 times the level of financial year 2020. And also effective capital expenditure grew to around 4.2% from the already existing 3.9%. So there has been an increase in both the capex as well as effective capex. Latest trend is, they are actually saying the central government capex increased by 10.3% in the second quarter of this financial year 2025. I told you what is second quarter, what is the first half, etc. And also the capex in the first half of the financial year stood at 4.15 lakh, that is a 15.4 decline in the year on year, this one. Okay, so the decline in early fiscal spending was largely due to restrictions. Why there has been a decline in the expenditure? Because there were a lot of restrictions because of the general elections that actually took place recently. So this is what it actually says. Now moving forward, to meet whatever the budget, according to the budget, whatever is the capital expenditure the government has actually said, what happens is that to meet that 11.11 lakh crore, the capex must actually grow at least by 52% in the second half of the year. This is what the newspaper is actually saying. The next one, now let's quickly solve this question. With reference to the Indian government's effective capital expenditure, which of the following are correct? Effective capital expenditure as a percentage of GDP currently stands at around 8%. Is this correct or wrong? Is it 4.2% or 8%? Please do comment in the comment section. The second one, it has consistently increased in the past 5 years. Whether it has consistently increased or it has actually taken the break, it's what you need to say. So you need to comment in the comment section, and also the link for the website has been provided in your comment section, and you can actually solve this question and get a detailed explanation from our website. Now moving forward, let's go to the next topic. Here, India conducts historic flight test of hypersonic missile with a range of 1,500 kilometers. So here we'll be discussing about what do you mean by long range hypersonic missile, and this is important for both your prelims as well as your mains examination. Okay, one is current events of national and international importance for prelims, and for the mains it comes under achievements of Indians in science and technology, indigenization of technology, and developing new technology. Now moving forward, there has already been a PYQ in 2014 which has been asked on Agni 4 missile. So all these missile systems actually become very, very important. Now, why this particular article is in the news? So the DRDO successfully test flighted India's first long range hypersonic missile. Very, very important, because this is what we are going to say. Long range means it actually has a range of 1,500 kilometers. It can travel and attack the enemy even at a distance of 1,500 kilometers, and this is going to further boost India's military defense capabilities. Do you understand? So this is what the article is about. Now moving forward, Before actually understanding what is this hypersonic missile, I would actually like to say, dwell on what are the types of missiles, okay. So, the missile system can be classified into three, okay. One based on the speed, the other which is actually based on the trajectory it follows, and the next one based on the range. So, based on the speed, it can be a subsonic missile, that means a speed of less than the speed of sound. That is what it is. It's called as a subsonic missile, or it can be a supersonic missile, the speed which is actually more than that of the speed of sound. And next is a hypersonic missile, okay, where the speed is actually far more than that of the speed of sound. The next one, based on the trajectory, the missiles can be either number one, ballistic missile, which means the missile is actually launched from here. It follows the trajectory, that is goes above, it enters the space, it moves beyond the atmosphere, and then it actually comes back and hits the target. So, this is called as the ballistic missile, that is it follows a ballistic trajectory. Or number two is the cruise missile. So, what do you mean by cruise missile? This is nothing but the travel, that is the launch and the target, the travel, everything is actually within the atmosphere. Okay, so it is like this. So, this is called as the cruise missile. So, based on the speed, it's subsonic, supersonic and hypersonic. Based on trajectory, it's ballistic and cruise missile. And based on the range, it is actually a short range missile, or it can be an intermediate range missile. It can be a a long range missile, and then the longest range will be intercontinental ballistic missile. So, this is what is the basic classification. Now, India has test fired which of the one? It is actually test fired this hypersonic missile, which actually travels at the speed of 5 Mach, which is nothing but 5 times the speed of sound. Okay, so this is what is the concept. So, now let us quickly go through, having understood the concept. So, what is a hypersonic missile? It is an advanced missile system, travels speeds greater than Mach 5, okay, with about 6,200 kilometers per hour. Very, very important. It can fly at very, very low altitude also, because it's not a ballistic missile, right? And also it has high maneuverability, and it is classified into two types. One is hypersonic glide vehicles. These are nothing but they are actually launched via a rocket system, and also hypersonic cruise missiles, which are powered by engines like scramjets. So, this actually allows them to cruise at hypersonic speeds. Okay, so this is what it is. So, here if you actually see this particular this one, we've already seen, right, ballistic missiles, which actually has a trajectory, and then we have cruise missiles, that is nothing but they generally hug the ground, they hug the terrain, because they do not move from the atmosphere, they do not go to the outer space. So, here it is the atmosphere. So, this is the launch site, okay. So, this is actually the ballistic missile, which actually leaves and goes to the space, follows a trajectory and then comes back. Whereas, if you see this hypersonic missile, so this is the hypersonic glide vehicle, which actually uses the rocket system to be launched, and this is the hypersonic cruise missile, okay, and this actually happens to be your target. Now, moving forward, let us actually see what are the significance of hypersonic missiles. First one, they can actually fly, at very, very high speeds. We actually saw, right, Mach 5 plus, making it extremely difficult for the enemy, enemy country to actually even know that this is happening. Next, they have high advanced maneuverability, and also they can operate at low or mid altitude. So, this is what it is. Now, moving forward, the speed and the response time, that is by the time they respond, you would have actually hit the target. Next one, there is enhanced maneuverability, and also there is reduced detectability by the enemy people, and also there is strategic advantage, because it is capable of hitting the target with a very, very precise manner, and also it is very, very time sensitive. So, this is what it is, okay. Now, let's move forward. And also, what are the disadvantages? We have, of course, seeing only one side of the coin doesn't help. What are the disadvantages of the system is that, first one, it has a lot of technological complexity. Okay, high level of technology, and the raw materials that is used for its making is actually very complex. Next one, heat management. Since it actually flies through or storms through the atmosphere, what happens is that the heat that it actually carries is also of extreme in nature. The cost, of course, a high maintenance cost and high cost for launching, etc. Next one is arms race attack. That is, since all the countries are actually focusing on developing the same, there is potential increase of global tensions, and this can trigger the race between different countries in order to possess this hypersonic technology. Next one, the target accuracy, that is maintaining precision at hypersonic speeds, is sometimes challenging because of the guidance system. Okay, do you understand? Now moving forward, let us actually see what is the areas of development in different countries with respect to hypersonic missiles. You just need to know which are the countries that have established it so far, okay? And also which are the countries that are developing it, and what is the position that India has is the most important. Now here, the first one, if you see, in case of Russia, I can zoom it for you guys. Yeah. So here, if you see, in case of Russia, it actually has 3M22 Zircon. This is a hypersonic anti-ship cruise missile. Next one, it has Avangard. Then it has 447M2 Kinzhal, as well as Weinpel. So these are the hypersonic missiles that have been developed already by Russia. Don't worry, this has been provided detailed in your notes, okay, DNA. So don't actually try to struggle through this. So Russia also, it already has a developed system. And next one, in development, it has KH-95, then Zmivik, as well as Gremlin. And moving forward, if you actually see, in case of France, it has developed VMAX. And in case of India, if you see, it has already developed Shaurya. Okay, so here I think the range is around 700 kilometers, but the current one is around 1500 kilometers. You know? So now, Shaurya canister launched hypersonic tactical missile is already in existence in India, and under development we have the BrahMos 2 hypersonic cruise missile, which is a joint development with that of Russia. Okay, so this is what it is. Now let's move forward. And if you see further, if you see South Korea, it actually has high core in development. And then if you actually see North Korea, here we have the Hwasong 8. Okay, so this is also, it is all, this is actually developed and this is under development in South Korea. Now moving forward, if you actually see the United States, I can do that for you. So in the United States, you have the operational fires, that is OP fires, which is ground launched boost glide system. And also in development, we have hypersonic air breathing weapon concept, that is the Hawk, and the hypersonic air launched offensive anti-surface, that is the Halo. And if you see in Iran, this also have developed system, that is Fatah, that is medium range hypersonic missile, and China that has developed DFZF, then Starry Sky, as well as Lingyon. Here it is important to know the names because they can also be asked in match the following with respect to that of the countries that have developed it. Next one, United Kingdom. This is in development, hypersonic cruise missiles. This is planned by 2030. And Brazil, that is 14X. So this is also there in development. And if you see Japan, that also has it in development. Let me show it to you. Yeah, this also has the hypervelocity gliding projectile, and this is also in development in Japan. So these are the different countries that actually possess this hypersonic missiles, and these are the countries which are developing it, and there are certain countries that are that have already developed it. Okay, so this is what it is. Now moving on to the next slide, let us actually quickly solve this particular question. So hypersonic missiles travel at speeds of Mach 5 or greater, making them faster than conventional supersonic missiles, right? Yes, this is correct. And hypersonic missiles follow a predictable high altitude ballistic trajectory. No, this is wrong. So since the second statement is wrong, only one becomes correct. So your answer will be option A. Now moving on. to the last topic for the day, growing epidemic. Okay, so here we'll be discussing about what is diabetes, which is important for both your prelims as well as the mains examination. And for mains examination, it is under awareness in the field of biotechnology. I think here people have missed out on this. So here it actually comes under GS paper 3, that is health, and also comes under governance. Okay, so this is what it is. Now let us actually move forward. So now already there has been a question in the year 2017 with respect to the Zika virus. Okay, so from the year 2013-14, diseases, what is the causative agents, the vector, etc. has become very important and has been asked quite frequently by the UPSC in both prelims as well as mains examination. So now we'll be looking into what this article is actually talking about. So there was a recent Lancet report, okay, that actually says that there has been a four-fold global increase. 4 times there has been increase in this particular diabetes, okay. And also since 1990, and with respect to India, if you see, we are leading at around 212 million affected individuals. So this actually means that we need to have enhanced diagnosis as well as control efforts, okay, in order to curb this particular disease. So now let us quickly understand what is diabetes. This is nothing but, see, there is an organ that is called as pancreas. So, behind your stomach, there is something called as pancreas, these leafy kind of organ, okay. So, these pancreas actually have something called as the beta cells, and these beta cells are responsible for production of an hormone called as insulin, and this insulin is responsible for maintaining the sugar level in a body. If that is actually not maintained in the body, then that results in the in a condition that is actually called as diabetes, okay. So what do you mean by diabetes? We actually saw this, okay. So diabetes, this is of 3 types, that is type 1 diabetes. This is nothing but it is an autoimmune disease. What do you mean by autoimmune disease? Your immune system will mistakenly affect or kill the healthy working part of your body. So that is what is called as autoimmune disease. That is, in this case, diabetes, if you say, the immune system will attack the beta cells of your body, thereby it will actually lessen the production of insulin that is required for maintaining a balance in the sugar level. So that is called as type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune disease. The next one is type 2 diabetes. This is nothing but, this is actually caused by a very unhealthy lifestyle that we actually have, okay. That is obesity and also sedentary kind of lifestyle, higher consumption of carbohydrates, increased sugar consumption, etc. That will also hamper the production of insulin in your body. And the next one is nothing but, it is called as gestational diabetes. This is nothing but women generally during pregnancy, they actually get it, and after they deliver the baby, this gestational diabetes actually goes off, but still keeps the mother and the child prone to at a risk of diabetes. So now I've actually explained the entire concept of diabetes, how it is actually caused. There is an organ called pancreas which has beta cells, produces insulin, maintaining the sugar level, and different types of diabetes depending on our lifestyle, autoimmune disease as well as pregnancy. Now Lancet has actually found out that India, you guys know, right? Unfortunately, India is also called as the diabetes capital of the world, right? So this is what it is. It is actually written here. Need not focus much here because you've already understood what it is. A health condition that affects how the body processes the blood glucose, that is sugar. This actually occurs when the body either doesn't produce enough insulin, which is an hormone made in the pancreas, or it cannot effectively use it, okay. So this actually leads to elevated blood sugar levels. So different types. Type 1, it is an autoimmune condition. Next is type 2. This is actually where the body becomes insulin resistant, okay. This is also linked to the lifestyle factors. So if you see type 1 diabetes, and the symptoms include, always you are hungry and you have extreme fatigue in your body, and always you feel thirsty. Those kind of irregularities happen. Here, type 2 diabetes, this is insufficient insulin again, that also results in these kind of symptoms. And finally is gestational diabetes during the pregnancy. So this is what it is. Now moving forward, what are different tests for diabetes? First includes fasting blood sugar test. That is, you actually undergo an overnight fast and then they check your glucose or the sugar level. Next one is oral glucose tolerance test. Okay. So this is, it measures the blood sugar after fasting and then drinking a sugary solution. Next one is HbA1c test. This is nothing but it measures the average blood sugar levels over your past 2 to 3 months. Okay. So this is what it is. Now the Lancet report has actually found out since the 1990 levels. Okay, it was 200 million in 1990. Now it is 800 million in 2022. And India actually has the highest diabetes prevalence, globally, with around 212 million cases. And, and leads to undiagnosed cases also in adults with over 30. That is, 133 million people who are above the age of 30, they are going undiagnosed with this particular, disease. Next is updated methodology. That includes, we've seen this method, right? HbA1c levels. This is actually identifying more cases, particularly in South Asia. And next it is actually saying why India actually has a higher diabetes rate. So here, obviously, we have increased consumption of high calorie carbohydrates, rich and saturated fat foods. Okay, we also consume a lot of these soft drinks. A lot of rice is being consumed, extreme quantities of sugar in by the delicacies that we actually make at home. Also, we have a sedentary lifestyle where we have reduced physical activity, so this increases the risk of diabetes. Next is higher rate of tobacco. Okay, already diabetes in itself is a condition, but the smoking actually increases the chances of your diabetes by 30 to 40%. So increased use of tobacco. Next is genetic predisposition. Okay, so if you see in certain people, even at a very younger age, even with a very healthy lifestyle, they actually have diabetes because it is genetically inherited by either from their father or the mother or the ancestors. Next is increased stress levels. So this is actually due to the work life imbalance, the amount of stress, something called as depression that we actually go through these days. This also causes increased risk of diabetes. Now let us quickly solve which of the following statements are correct about diabetes. Type 1 is an autoimmune condition where the body attacks insulin producing cells in pancreas. Yes. Type 2 is caused primarily by genetic factors and not influenced by lifestyle choices. No, this is wrong. It is influenced by both. Since second one is wrong, here the first statement is correct. So your answer will be option A. Okay. Yeah, so with this, we've actually come to the conclusion of our daily news analysis for the day. So for more such interesting videos, as well as live sessions and more interesting topics to be discussed with all of you, which are relevant for the UPSC exam, please do like, share and subscribe to Narayana IAS Academy YouTube channel, and we will actually meet very quickly on our next session. Thank you.